Hello family, this is the Old School Traveler. This video is about house hunting in Panama City, Panama. Now, I know some of y'all think it's Panama City, Florida, but nope. It's actually Panama City, Panama. So we decided to get visas there, and we decided that we were going to rent a place for a while to see what it's like and to help us decide how often and where we want to be in Panama. Now, we already know we want to be in Panama. We just haven't decided where yet. Now, we went to some places, and I'm going to show you the apartments that we went to and the prices of those apartments. Now, one of the things that make Panama kind of intriguing is that Panama City is divided into small, well, not really small, I guess small districts, like San Francisco, El Congrejo, Punta Pacifica, El Barrio, Casco Viejo, and we know there's areas that we really don't want to go to, and not necessarily because of price. It's just that a lot of times it's the location and it's the city itself. We want to be near restaurants, near a park. We want to be where we can be pretty much active, but not in the busy tourist area. Now, we'd like to be able to go visit the tourist area, which we can do by car or Uber or whatever have you. Now, some of these places are very, very, very nice. And one of them was just a flat out dump. It was just a dump. It's almost like the lady didn't even want to rent the place out. She did absolutely nothing to prepare it for rental in our book. Now, one lady, the first lady, she had a nice place. Very, very, very nice. And she wanted $2,800, which is, I guess, not bad. And, we actually thought about it because it had what we really wanted. That was the key. It had what we really wanted. But the sticking issue with me is that we were not going to rent today. When we get our permanent visas in about 6 months, we're going back, and that's when we want to rent. We more or less just want to get an idea of what we can get for a certain amount of money, because we're used to a certain lifestyle. We're not going there and trying to get it for $400. We're not doing that. We already know that kind of lifestyle is not us. And we know that we want something very nice that's very large enough that when our extended family come down, I say extended, not blended. We've been married a long time. But we want something that when they come, we got plenty of room for them. And so we were not looking at anything less than 3 bedrooms. And we were not really wedded to a particular area, even though we like some areas better than other areas. I like El Congrejo. And I like it for one reason in general. It has a lot of restaurants. But here's the problem. Anytime you get a lot of restaurants and you get a lot of expats, the problem is the prices are going to be crazy. They're going to charge you gringo prices. There's nobody who would screw over a gringo than another gringo. That's just the way it works in Panama. I don't care what anybody tells you. That's how it works in Panama. Now, saying that, we didn't find, actually, the person who was tasked with showing us apartments never showed us anything in El Congrejo. We walked around El Congrejo by ourselves at night and during the daytime and saw places that we liked. Now, we did see a couple places in San Francisco, and that was one of them was decent, but it was right next to a ghetto. I'm talking about the worst looking ghetto. It was right next to that. So we kind of gave up on that real quick. And plus she had a dog. And we don't want to have a place that had dogs. If you got a dog, we don't want any signs that you had a dog. And now saying that, another place we looked at, it was all right, but it gave us an ocean view. And now the first 2 places gave us ocean views. It gave us an ocean view that is not really ocean. It's like a mudslide, as happened in Panama. Panama City itself there's no really ocean view where the place that we looked at. Now, it looks out over the ocean, but it's not the ocean view. I think she was giving us an emotional price. But the kicker of it all was that she wanted to have a contract in place within 2 weeks. So we knew we was not going to get that. And you know what? And to be honest about it, they all did. That wasn't going to happen. They all wanted a contract within 2 weeks. And I think because the problem with Panama, when you go apartment hunting, they are going to want to pressure you to sign something right away because, you know, they want income coming in. Even the lady whose place had been empty 5 months made it sound like she got to have some money today. Now, she lived in the place. I'm like, okay, you bought a place and, you know, you want us to just sign without looking at other places. That's not going to happen. And it was really not where we wanted, but we could have accepted that area, you know. And actually, there's a place in Bella Vista we saw that we loved that place too. And it didn't have an ocean view. It's just that the place was nasty. It was trashy. It had mold in it. I mean, she just didn't do anything to get that place prepared. You had the lady with the dog. We didn't want a place that had a dog in it. We had a place next to the ghetto. Wasn't doing that. They had a huge wall, kind of like King Kong. You know, the original King Kong, that huge ass fence to keep Kong inside. That's kind of like how we felt there, you know. And the first place had lots of shopping, but it was all places that were brand new. It was Punta Pacifico. It was all brand new. She had all this new, you know, everything there was new, but it had doctors. And actually, the place that was the best was the place that was trash. They had the mold and stuff in it. She had all the hospitals. That was in Bella Vista. She had everything right there. But yet, the apartment wasn't right. So we just want to get a feel for what we could get at a certain price point. And we just didn't get a good experience. And one thing about apartment hunting in Panama City, Panama, you got to make sure whoever you're dealing with is a realtor. We didn't really have a realtor. What we had was somebody who knew the realtors. They're kind of like, they do manage apartments, but they kind of like a broker. They're like in between. And now here's the problem. When you get 2 and 3 people, because that lady had a realtor, we had what we thought was a realtor. So what happens is that you're going to pay more because everybody is going to get a cut of the pie. And no one is going to do anything for free. So our guy is going to get whatever commission from the other realtor for referring a client. And so your prices are going to be inflated somewhat. Now, here's how Panama apartment hunting works. Never tell them how much you want to spend. Tell them what you want. And if they can give you what you want, let them go. But don't tell them the budget. Because, you know, anybody with common sense knows if a person works on a commission or a percentage, the more he makes, the more you spend, the more he makes. Anybody knows that. And so we were not going to play those kind of games. But they sensed real quick that we like the high-end life. They sensed that real quick because of the things we asked for in the apartment. We sent them a checklist before we met up with them. And so he knew, you know, he knew real quick. But here's also the kicker too. I was not going to pay him until he showed us at least a few apartments. And he did that. But we noticed that almost every place we went to, there was a realtor or the owner was in that place. Now, one thing in Panama that's different than other places is that in Panama, they tend to want to steer you toward the properties that they manage. They're not really interested because we saw places that other people manage that we could live with. We saw that, but they never showed us those kind of places. And if they had, we might have been willing to talk about a contract on the spot. They didn't do that. So we didn't talk about a contract. And after every viewing, they were asking, do you like it? And we were dead honest with them. Nope, got a dog. Nope, got this. And then the lady had the dog. She had a dog and a bird. The bird just flying around. And then the other thing too is that they all came furnished, But I don't want your furniture if a dog been walking on it, and I can tell that she had little kids and she had a dog, and the dog was sitting on the couch when we walked in, sitting on the couch. The only thing the dog was missing was a cigar. The dog was sitting on the couch. I said, I'd be damn. So obviously she's not interested in renting to us because that's not a look you want. The lady with the mole, there was absolutely no way. She didn't even turn on the AC, and the house was hot as hell. And I'm like, okay, how do we even know the AC works? It's just things that she didn't prep to rent a house. She just thought that, okay, I got these gringos in here, the Americans. And matter of fact, she was not even Panamanian. She was from Canada or somewhere else. But she had a thick old accent, and she was not Hispanic at all. But she made it sound like we had to have a place within 10 minutes. And that was not the case at all. See, what people don't get in Panama is that the Panamanians got a gringo price, and then they got a price for Panamanians. We already knew that. We already know that. And we don't mind paying a gringo price because in Panama, you're going to get screwed. If you're a gringo, you're going to get screwed. It's a matter of how much you get screwed. Everybody got a breaking point. And so we wanted someplace real nice, and we declared that. They all had 2 parking spots, which is kind of cool. And one of them, the second one, you really park right next to your apartment. On the 6th floor, you park on the 6th floor. You literally can walk out and not even touch a rain and be in your car leaving. And that was so awesome. That was cool. That was real, real cool. And we liked that place too. But somehow what the person showing us the apartments didn't understand, we don't need an ocean's view. No, we don't need none of that. Panama is not a big country. We can get to the ocean, some other way. But we're not ocean people either. Some people gotta have, if we wanted the ocean, we would be in Coronado. We would have went to Coronado. I mean, we did go to Coronado, but but we're not ocean people. We just want a nice place for the family to come, and that's it. And we don't want a building that's got 99% expats. We asked the door guard how many, what percentage are, Americans and Canadians, because we don't want a building like that. We want to intermingle with Panamanians as well, or other people, whether it's Germans, UK, whatever. We want a diverse setting. Now, the reason we want to rent a place in Panama, you ask? We want a place to stay when we go to other places. We want a jumping off spot. That's what we want. And so if we don't find what we want at the price point we want, no problem. We'll just rent hotels when we go to Panama. We're not against that either. We've done it every time already, and it doesn't bother us. We'll just rent hotels when we go to Panama. But we know we can find what we want. It's a matter of steering our person we're working with to the right places to show us. That's what we got to do. We got to make sure we say, hey, listen, you had 2 chances. We're done with you. We're moving on. Because we have seen something that we like, but they didn't show that to us. And I think it was just a filling out process. I think that he was trying to fill us out, trying to find out what we would jump at by showing us 2 apartments, $1,500 apart in price, and thinking that we're going to just jump on the cheap one, when actually the one we liked the most was the most expensive one. And we just said, okay, but we are not going to have a Panamanian bank account and everything set up in 5 minutes. And she wanted, the place was sitting for 5 months, and and all of a sudden she wanted us to be ready to sign the contract the same day. Well, I know other people have seen that apartment. Why didn't they sign? Maybe what you're doing, you're pricing yourself out of the market. And the price really didn't bother us. It's just the timeline that she wanted wasn't realistic for us. Now, don't get me wrong, we could have changed our timeline if she dropped the price, or say, okay, this is the price I want, I'll hold it for you. Then we would have did that. But you're not going to tell me the price and the timeline. I'm picking one of the two. You can figure out which one that I want to pick, but the one I must pick is the timeline. So that's just reality, you know. So she was all about that. And she was like, well, I really need this rented out. Well, you need it rented out. I don't need to rent because I'm going back to America in a couple of days, and I'll set my account up so I can move money between the States and Panama like everybody else. I'll set things up, but I'm not going at your pace. I'm going at my pace, you know. And the lady with the dog, like I said, it didn't even bother her, the fact that she had company coming over and the dog is sitting on the couch. And dogs don't really use toilet paper. So I can imagine. And then she had a ghetto right beside her. I'm talking about over the wall. And I'm like, that is just not going to be me. Now, the third place we looked at, that was nice, but she only had 2 bedrooms. And, it was a good size, but we really wanted San Francisco. Bella Vista is always on our list, but we got a pecking order. And the fact that we didn't see anything in El Cangrejo and in San Francisco area, we want to be near Parque Omar, but they had other parks that was right. They actually had another park right next to her place, which is fine with us too. That's fine with us too, But so there's certain things we wanted, but her amenities were not as nice as some of the other amenities. The only amenities that was really, really terrible was the lady who wanted $1,500. She wanted $1,500, and she just was not even in the ball game. Her lady with the dog was just gone, and they were just not even in the game. And it had nothing to do with price. It just the look. It just the look of what the surrounding area. Going out the front door was great, but you look out your back window, I'm like, this is not a good ocean view. And even the lady who had the dog, she said she's willing to come down on price, but our mind was made up within the first 10 minutes. We're like, okay, this is not going to do it. Our mind was made up, But she had some amenities, but the lady with the third one we looked at, that was nice too. But we didn't have the interest in that. It's just a lot of walls in that apartment. There's a lot of walls. I'm like, all these damn walls. Every bedroom, and most of the bedrooms did not have doors. And that was kind of weird to me. I'm like, okay, I want doors. And then the AC was very, very old. The AC unit in every room was old. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of old. And there was no shopping near her, no nothing near her. And we gotta, we said we want shopping places that we can walk to. And I don't want to go where all the restaurants are owned by expats. That's not, like I said, you're gonna get screwed by expats too. Expat was screwed expat, no big deal. No big deal. They don't have a heart. They moved to Panama. When people say I moved to Panama to get a better life, so do they, by opening a business up to get money out of you. Oh yeah, they open it to get a better life too. So that's one of those things that as you look for apartments, don't go by the price somebody else paid. Don't do that, because you know what? You don't know if they're telling the truth or not, because a lot of them lie. They want to make you think that they are they won the art of negotiation. They want you to feel that way. So a lot of people are going to pretend, how people live beyond their means. They're going to pretend that, oh, you paid $1,200 or $1,500 or $2,000. I got the same apartment from the same person. I only paid $300. That's a lie. That's a lie. Go with who you feel comfortable with, and you're gonna get screwed somewhat. That's just part of the process in Panama. The Panamanians are loyal to the dollar, not theirs, yours. So you just got to get that in your head and don't let it bother you. And find somebody you like, somebody you can go with, and somebody who makes you feel comfortable. And make sure you get a realtor and not a realtor agent. I mean, some people you're gonna see advertise on YouTube. This is the best person in the world, best person. Then you find out they're not even a real realtor. They are a go-between, or they're like a fixer. You call them fixers in Panama. They know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who can get you an apartment. Everybody networks. That's just how it works there. Networks. Because I met a guy, he's a fixer, and he said, I don't get paid unless I find you what you're looking for. The rest of them want money up front. They want money up front, don't deal with them. Make them earn the money first. Because you don't want to waste your time trying to find a place, and you never do, and yet you done spent $200, $300, $400 for somebody, and they didn't produce a product that you wanted or you was happy with. And they all want 12 months rent. I have a suspicion that's negotiable as well. They say it's normal. I'm not saying I'm going to change the Panama culture, but they say it's normal, 12 months. But we'll see, because in other cities, I know people move every 3 or 4 months to try and find that landing spot that they really, really, really want. So that's how our trip went. We didn't find what we was looking for. We're still looking. And it makes you believe that either the prices on YouTube or on the realtor web pages are a lie, or the people I'm working with is trying to gouge me. It's one of the two things. Because I've seen apartments that they showed me, I'm like, there's no way in hell, because I've already seen what other people have for a lot less. Now, if I pay more, I want more. And I don't mind paying for what I want. I do not mind paying for what I want. I'm not going to pay for what you're going to give me. That's a fact. I'm going to pay for what I want. So look at the videos of these apartments and let me know what you think. And I got the price posted on each video of the apartments and what they have. Some were pretty. Some, the videos are real short because I didn't see anything of interest to us from the very, very, very beginning to the end. So I wasn't wasting filming. I wasn't wasting time editing junk. And the fourth place was just that. It was just junk. I don't know who would rent that place at all. Matter of fact, the stove in the kitchen was old as hell. It was old as hell. Everything was just like it came out of an old movie. It was just old. And a couple of them, their kitchen was the highlight of their apartment. One, the third lady, her kitchen was nice, new, but small. That was one of the drawbacks too. It was small. We were like, she had a brand new kitchen, but it's small. So this is apartment hunting by the Old School Traveler in Panama City, Panama. Let me know if you got any questions. Peace out.